Tigers baseball on Fox Sports Detroit is presented by Bell Tire. It is a cloudy, overcast night here at the ballpark tonight as the Tigers begin their final home series of the regular season. The Chicago White Sox are in town. Welcome to Game 1 between the Tigers and the Sox. And the Tigers' magic number, well, it's down to 4 and hopefully lower than that after we're done here tonight. Hi again, everyone. Welcome to Comerica Park and welcome to Tigers Baseball. Mario and Pember, Rod Allen, glad to have you with us here for Game 1 in this series. And really, Rob, this has the potential to be an exciting weekend here at the ballpark. First of all the fans that have come through the gates this year. And, of course, Mad Max going for number 20 tonight.
Well, it'll be a nice reward for the 3 million fans that will come through the turnstiles this weekend to reward them with a championship celebration right here at comfy Comerica Park. I believe Max Scherzer is going to get number 20 here tonight as long as the rain stays away.
Well, that is the hope here this evening. Now, keep in mind that Max Scherzer, of course, is going for number 20 in this one, but he's been awfully good. His last couple of starts been a little bit better.
You know, number 20 has been elusive for Max Scherzer. As a matter of fact, the last time he went up against the Chicago White Sox team, he struggled against them. But Max has done his best work right here at Comerica Park. You take a look at his numbers, 15 starts so far. He's lost just 1. He's won 11. He's logged 98 innings. The ERA is real good. And, of course, Max piles up tons of strikeouts. He's got the explosive fastball at 97. The changeup is an incredible pitch for him. And that slider and that curveball have really been good pitches for Max this year. It's allowed him to keep his numbers against left-handers way down than prior in his career.
All right, after a short break, we'll send you back to the Call Sam studios. We'll check in with Shannon Hogan. Coming up, the Tigers trying to take advantage of the home field advantage here, taking care of business at home. In the last 3 years, the Tigers 19-5 at home against the White Sox. Stay with us. Game 1 coming up next. Tigers and the Chicago White Sox starting a 3-game series here at the ballpark tonight. The starting lineup for the Sox, presented by the Metro Detroit Chevy dealers, features Alejandro de Aza at the top, Alexi Ramirez batting in the 2 spot, and Connor Gillespie hitting 3rd tonight. Konerko Dunn and Avisail Garcia in your middle 3 spots, and then Danks Beckham and Josh Phegley rounding it out for Chicago tonight. They are facing Max Scherzer, who is presented this evening by Family Heating, Cooling, and Electrical.
It would be a beautiful thing if Max Scherzer was able to get win number 20 here tonight against Chicago White Sox on a beautiful Friday night. 2.95 overall ERA, and of course Max Scherzer very much in the Cy Young conversation this year.
And tonight's first pitch is in for a strike on De Aza. Raining before the game started. It has cleared a bit. The tarp was on the field, but we will get this one obviously going on time tonight. That's the good news. Here's the 0-1 pitch. De Aza spoils it back out of play, and it's 0-2. Alejandro this year batting .263. The power numbers are good. 16 for a leadoff guy, really good. 60 RBIs as well. And Scherzer has him down in the count 0-2. Missed it outside. 1 ball and 2 strikes. First of 3 between these 2 squads. The final 3 regular season home games. Then the Tigers hit the road. Hopefully they'll be celebrating here at some point this weekend. The 1-2 pitch. 2 balls, 2 strikes on De Aza. Mark Wegner down at 3rd said he did not go. Max ready with the 2-2 pitch. Here it is. Drilled to right field. Hunter is on the move, and he dives and can't get it. It'll go up against the wall. De Aza will go to second, and he will stop there with a leadoff double. Torrey stretched out, just couldn't quite get it.
It's a 93-mile-per-hour fastball in the nitro zone of De Aza. He's got some power in that bat, especially to the pull field. If you're Torrey Hunter and you leave your feet on this play, even if you don't catch it, and he nearly caught it, you know that De Aza is only going to get a double. He's not going to get a triple. So it's not all bad to leave your feet. Great effort.
Two-base hit starts this ball game off. We'll see what Alexi Ramirez is thinking here. Ramirez batting .285. He's hit 5 home runs this season. White Sox shortstop batting in the 2 spot in this one here tonight. And he checks it foul. 0-1.
Last couple of series that we've played against the Chicago White Sox, Alexi Ramirez was occupying that number 3 spot. And Gordon Beckham was batting 2nd, but now Gordon is batting 8th in tonight's lineup for the White Sox.
Ramirez is hit safely in his last 3. He's played just about every single day this year for the White Sox. Here's the 0-1. Make it 0-2 now on Alexi Ramirez. So Scherzer gets ahead of the first 2 batters in this game.
And because Ramirez has played nearly every day this year for Robin Ventura said before the game today that Alexi Ramirez would get tomorrow night off.
He has played in 150 of their 152 games so far this year. Outside, 1 ball and 2 strikes on Ramirez. Max in his career 7-5 versus the White Sox, but it's the ERA that I think is more telling. His earned run average against the Sox is .258. And he has faced him 17 times in his career. More than a strikeout per inning versus Chicago hitters. Here's the 1-2. He got him to chase. It's going to get away from Avila, who can't find it. Moving to 3rd is De Aza, and Ramirez is safe at first base.
It's going to go as a strikeout and a wild pitch. And once Avila couldn't alert it, Alexi Ramirez just took off for first base, and he made it safely. De Aza obviously on second, able to get himself over to third base.
Strikeout, wild pitch, and runners at first and third with nobody out. There's Connor Gillespie batting in the 3 spot tonight. .289 this year versus Tigers pitching with a couple of home runs. Early scoring chance now for Chicago. And it's drilled high in the air to center field. Jackson is on the run, still going back. Warning track to pull that one in. Boy, Gillespie gave it a ride. The run will score. It'll be a sacrifice fly, and Chicago has a 1-0 lead.
I'm kind of surprised that Alexi Ramirez, who was on first base, knowing that Jackson was going to make that play, didn't go back to first base to tag up to get down to second base. I don't think there was any question that Austin Jackson, with his physical skills in center field, was not eventually going to run that one down.
So the Tigers may have caught a bit of a break there as Ramirez stays planted at first.
And keeps the double play in order. And for Scherzer.
Now Paul Konerko. Scherzer hits the outside corner, 0-1 on Konerko.
White Sox only have a couple of guys on their team that will really steal a base, and Alexi Ramirez, who is occupying first base, is one of those. He has 30 steals this year. He's been caught 8 times, so very important for Max to make sure he doesn't get a good jump.
There he goes, and now they got him caught in a rundown. Scherzer stepped off nicely. Ramirez running back to first base. And we'll see if the Tigers can finish off this rundown, and they do as Santiago makes the tag.
Max has done a marvelous job this year of just simply holding the baseball on the mound. And if you're the base runner, you're inching your way off the bag. You're trying to decide when he's going to throw home. Alexi Ramirez thinks he has him timed. He takes off prematurely. Max steps off. He gets the ball to the second baseman, and then Ramirez is not going to get out of the tag. Max has been really good at shutting down the opposing team's running game. Even picked off a batter his last time out.
1-4-3-6 on that put out. 2 outs and the base is empty. Here's the 0-1. Strike called, 0-2. Konerko 11 homers this year, 52 driven in. Although spending some time on the disabled list this year, still hitting nearly 300 over his last 20 games or so. Here's Max's 0-2, and it slings outside in the dirt. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Scherzer allowed just the 1 run in 7 innings in his last start against KC. That was a 3-2 Tigers win in which Scherzer got a no decision. Wouldn't chase it. 2-2. Umbrellas starting to pop up now. Some light rain beginning to fall here at the ballpark. We expect that'll be the case most of the night. The hope is they can continue to play through it.
It's always a very difficult decision whether to start a game knowing that you're going to get some rain eventually when you have a guy on the mound looking for win number 20. You have a team that's on the verge of clinching its 3rd consecutive division crown.
Here's the 2-2. Just off the plate, 3-2. Yeah, it makes it tough because there's certainly a lot of considerations that go into whether or not you start the game.
I think the weather report was one that told Tigers personnel that if they started the game at this point in time, the light rain was only going to get worse, so why not start it?
Full count pitch. In the air, shallow right field. Here comes Torrey, and that'll be that for Chicago. They get a run. They do it on 1 hit. Here come the Tigers in the bottom of the 1st. As we go to the bottom of the first inning, Tigers starting lineup tonight presented by the Southeast Michigan Ford dealers. This is how Jim Leland lines them up. You got Jackson, Hunter, and Cabrera at the top, fielder. And then Martinez, the DH. Dirks is on the left tonight. Infante, Avila, and Santiago rounding it out. And they are facing Dylan Axelrod tonight.
19th start to this season for Axelrod, but the last start came way back on July 10th. So Robin Ventura, his manager, hoping to get at least 5 out of Axelrod. He pitches to a whole lot of contact. You can see that in the ERA. He's not overpowering, although he does have all 4 pitches.
Jackson, Hunter, Cabrera, the Tigers' top 3 step in here in the first, down by a run. Axelrod's first pitch is in for a strike. He's 27 years old, out of Santa Barbara, California.
Top fastball probably will get to 91 today. He's got the curveball that he throws about 20% of the time. The slider and also the changeup, very effective pitches for Axelrod, who really needs to rely on command. Has to really pitch at the knees, and he has to stay on the corners to have any success whatsoever.
Here's the 1-1. Driven toward right center field. Danks on the move, stretching out and making a diving catch. No, they say it drops in. And Jackson goes to second.
That is a mistake by Danks in center field, knowing that he didn't catch that ball, but still stayed down, trying to convince the second base umpire, Laz Diaz, that he did catch it. And alertly, Austin Jackson able to get himself a double.
Well, it ended up in his glove, but it clearly hit the turf. Pretty good attempt.
It's a great attempt. Almost a catch, if not a catch.
You could almost call that a catch. In fact, I think you could. 30th double of the year for Jackson. Tigers quickly get the tying run in scoring position now for Torrey Hunter.
And good to see Austin Jackson get that first knock here today in his very first at bat, after going 0 for 5 in last night's game.
.295 this year for Torrey as he tries to get back up to 300. That was the area that he has pretty much spent the whole season in. 300 above. Breaking ball pounded to third. Foul. Just foul. Just over the head of Connor Gillespie as well. 0-2 on Torrey Hunter. Axelrod was undrafted out of high school. He went to Santa Barbara City College and eventually Cal Irvine. Pitching in a light rain here in the first inning at Comerica. Here's the 0-2. Inside and high, 1-2.
Well, if you're not going to get drafted out of a high school, I could think of worse places to spend a couple of years at community college than in beautiful, sunny Santa Barbara.
28 years of age. 30th round pick by the Padres originally back in 2007. Up and in again. 2 balls, 2 strikes.
Torrey Hunter has a job to do, obviously, with Austin Jackson standing on second base. He'd at least try to get him to third base. If he gets a base hit in that hole between first and second, he'll also take that. That means Jackson will score, even though Garcia in right field has a very strong arm from that position.
You wouldn't bite on the breaking ball. The count fills now 3-2.
Since Torrey has gone to that number 2 spot in the last couple of calendar years, he has really learned how to take those base hits to right field. Hit behind Jackson, hit behind Mike Trout last year.
Down the right field line, slicing from Garcia, still coming, and it's going to be out of play.
While we have a second, let's set the Chicago White Sox defensive alignment for you. It is presented by Tim Hortons. In left field, you have De Aza. In center field, you have Danks. Right field, you have Garcia. Take a look at this note here. 5-20 record when committing 2 errors in a game, and of course they've done that a lot this year. They are the poorest defensive club in the American League.
And again, the 3-2. Missed it high. That is ball 4, and Axelrod has immediate trouble here in the first inning.
Good at bat by Torii Hunter, who fell behind Axelrod. No balls, 2 strikes, but able to get a base on balls out of
it. So here is Cabrera with nobody out. Miguel at 347 right now.
Whoa! How about those numbers against Axelrod? Nearly a .550 batting average for Miggy, 6 for 11 with 1 strikeout.
Axelrod stays away. Missed it outside. 1-0 on Miggy. 44 home runs this year. He's gone at least 40 in 2 consecutive seasons now. This season alone, he's hit 4 home runs against White Sox pitching. Here's the 1-0. High fly ball right field. Garcia again coming toward the corner, staring into the rain, and in foul ground makes a nice catch. Both runners tag and move up.
Garcia seemed to be battling this all the way, coasting over to the wall, making a play, and then getting it back to second base, but not before Torii Hunter got back to tag up, because he saw Jackson was going to go from second to third.
So here's Fielder now with 1 out, second and third, and these numbers are awfully gaudy, although not many at bats. 3 for 6 with 2 homers. Prince has hit safely in his last 5. Wave and a miss, 0-1.
This entire homestand, the opposing teams have pitched Prince Fielder away, and Prince Fielder has simply taken base hit after base hit after base hit into left field, and he'll do the exact same thing right here if Axelrod does not challenge him inside. Lots of room down that third baseline for Prince. Last 20 games, Prince Fielder's 31 hits. 21 of those have gone right back up the middle or the other way. He's making a strong push to get to 300 again.
You know, you mentioned that the other night, and I thought, well, he's not that close. And then all of a sudden, yeah, he's like over 280. Charging toward 290. Fouled straight back, and the count is 1-2. Fielder this year has knocked in 103. He's had a big homestand, 11 for 27, trying to keep it going here. The Tigers down by a run early. They're threatening against Dylan Axelrod. Swing and a miss. Fielder goes down, so Axelrod gets a huge early out. His first strikeout of the game. Fear not, though. Here comes Victor Martinez to try and drive in a couple of runs with a base hit. DHing tonight.
They might just walk Victor Martinez with all the damage he's done against them this series. This season, excuse me.
Martinez up over 300 at 301, and he is not going to bat. And he's been walked intentionally a ton over the last couple of days.
Eric Wedge did it a couple of times against Victor Martinez, and he did it in this exact same situation. It was the first inning. Runners on second and third, pitched around Victor Martinez, and Eric Wedge's squad got out of that first inning jam.
Robin Ventura making the call here. And this will eventually load the bases. Martinez has walked intentionally for the 9th time this season. And there is ball 4. So the Tigers load him up. And it's going to bring up Andy Dirks. .256 this year for Dirks. He gets the call out in left field for this one. Tigers have been rotating a few guys through there. Tuiasa Sopo has gotten a couple of starts on this homestand. A little bit inside, 1 ball and no strikes. Three hits on this homestand for Dirks. He's got Jackson, Hunter, and Martinez. The bases are full for Detroit, down 1-0 in the first. Fouled at home plate, 1 ball, 1 strike. Here's the 1-1. Right back up the middle into center field. That's a base hit. Jackson scores. Hunter coming around. He'll score. Andy Dirks has given the Tigers the lead 2-1.
Talked about the fact that Axelrod, because his top fastball about 90 miles an hour, has to have really good control if he's going to maneuver his way through this Tigers lineup, and he throws Andy Dirks a 1-1 fastball that's right down the middle, and Andy Dirks with that short, quick, compact swing answers the first run the White Sox scored in the top half of their first inning.
So Dirks knocks in numbers 33 and 34 on the season. Tigers have a 2-1 lead, and they foil the strategy of walking Martinez intentionally. Here's Infante now with 2 outs. Ground ball left side, base hit. Here comes Martinez rounding third. They stop him. Quickly back in with the ball is De Aza.
De Aza playing left field does not have the arm strength of Viciedo, who is usually playing left field for them, but he got to the ball quickly. And then you add in the fact that Victor Martinez is running from second base. Wise decision by third base coach Tom Brookins to hold up Victor.
So the bases are reloaded now. Victor was going to have a tough time scoring, so they held him up, and here is Alex Avila. 364 this year with the bases loaded. Ball 1 outside. Axelrod wants a new baseball. He's already thrown 25 in this inning, and 13 of them have been out of the strike zone. .286 this year for Alex against White Sox pitching. Tigers sending 8 men to the plate here in the bottom of the first. They lead 2-1. Here's the 1-0. Avila's batting average at .222. He's knocked in 45 runs this year. He's done much better in the second half, dealing with concussions a couple of times this season. Swing and a miss.
Good change up there by Axelrod at 82. The arm speed sold it. Avila saw fastball coming out of his hands. You can see the grip. That is a straight change, and just enough to get Avila to swing right over the top of it.
Here's the 1-2. 2 balls and 2 strikes on Avila. Martinez, Dirks, Infante, your base runners. 2-run single by Andy here in the first inning, giving Detroit the lead. And now Avila trying to tack on. The 2-2. Swing and a miss. Struck him out. Tigers will leave him loaded. However, they do get a couple of runs. 3 men left. We go to the second. 2-1 Detroit. As we go to the top of the second, and it's also an opportunity for you to vote for your Tigers McDonald's player of the game. It's presented by the new Mighty Wings. Using your cell phone, text Tigers then a space and the player's uniform number to 37338, or vote online at foxsportsdetroit.com. Dodging the raindrops tonight. Max Scherzer has a 2-1 lead as we go to the second. 2 runs on 3 Detroit hits in this game. Adam Dunn will start things off. Dunn, then Garcia, then Danks. First pitch is swung on and missed. 1-1 on Dunn.
Dunn has not been a good match for Tigers hitting. Pitchers this year, I should say. As you see the shift on the infield against Big Adam Dunn. Lots of ground balls to the pull field.
Breaking ball missing down low. 1 ball and 1 strike.
Tigers pitchers have struck him out 24 times this year, which is the most that he has struck out against any team in the American League Central.
Wave and a miss. 1-2.
And a lot of those strikeouts are simply at the top of the strike zone with good fastballs in the mid-90s. But Max has also had that really good breaking ball down and in the left-handers, which has been a go-to pitch for him too. They're going to elevate one first.
Well, when he is putting the ball against the Tigers in play, he's done a pretty good job hitting .305 versus Tigers pitching this year.
Yeah, his contact to damage ratio is simply off the charts when he does hit it.
Here's the 2-2. Stroke back up the middle and caught on a dive by Santiago.
Dunn tried to beat the shift, but Santiago getting a really nice break from the second base side up second base. And although he's a shortstop, he makes a really nice play. Beaumont Health System will sponsor the starting Tigers defense. Dirks in left, Jackson in center, Torrey Hunter is in right field. Omar Infante and Santiago are up the middle. Iglesias was hit on the hand yesterday and still a little bit sore today, therefore didn't get a chance to start.
Here's Garcia with one out. Sparkling defensive play already turned in by that shortstop position, even though it is not Jose Iglesias.
Santiago does not have the range that Iglesias has, but his hands are tremendous at whether he is playing shortstop, third base, or second base.
High fly ball, shallow center field. Here comes Jackson. It'll be a routine out, 2 gone. Now Jordan Danks.
Jordan Danks getting an opportunity to show his manager Robin Ventura whether he could be an everyday player next year. He's also and always been rated very highly as a defensive player coming up through the minor leagues, but now getting a chance to showcase his skills to see if he'll be a starter or a role player in 2014.
Got himself a shattered bat right there. He hit it right at Prince. Going to be a 1-2-3 inning for Max Scherzer. Nicely done. To by Comerica Bank, a part of Detroit and the community since 1849. Jeep, rediscover the freedom of the open road at the Jeep Celebration event. And by Dan and Oiko's Greek yogurt, too delicious to be nutritious. Cloudy, overcast, and at times rainy night here at the ballpark. The Tigers and the White Sox get together. Game 1 in this 3-game set. Tiger magic number at 4. And Detroit leads 2-1 early in this game as Santiago stands in and looks at ball 1. Ramon in the number 9 slot. Yesterday Iglesias was hit on the hand by a pitch, was sore today, and Jim Leland saying not real sure when he might be back. It's a fly ball into right field, right at Garcia. A couple of steps to his right, 1 out. Initially, when Iglesias was hit by that pitch, Rod, I got to be honest, I expected the worst.
I sure did myself, especially after seeing a replay, and the replay showing us that it hit him right on the hand. There was no bat involved, so a lot of times those injuries take quite a while.
Here's Austin Jackson. Jackson had a 2-base hit to start this game, and it was a ball that he hit out to center field. The Danks made a diving attempt on, but couldn't field it cleanly. Axelrod's 0-1. Breaking ball bends outside and low. 1 ball, 1 strike. Tigers have out hit the White Sox 3-1 in this game so far, although Detroit left the bases loaded in the first inning. Off the end of the bat, foul, 1-2.
Here's Iglesias getting hit last night. And when he went down, he stayed down for a while. He was in a lot of pain.
Jackson takes low and away. 2 balls and 2 strikes. See his hand all bandaged up tonight.
Got some compression padding on there trying to keep the swelling down.
.310 batting average this year, and dazzling defense to go with it. Here's the 2-2. Fouled away.
Because of that .310 batting average and the dazzling defensive play of Iglesias, he is right there in the middle of the Rookie of the Year, and a possible award this year with a few other standout rookies.
Chopper hit toward third. That's a foul ball. 2-2 the count remains. Axelrod ran into trouble when he walked Martinez intentionally to load the bases back in the first, trying to get out of the jam, and then Dirks made it pay with a 2-run single.
Axelrod doesn't really have that true put-away pitch. He'll rack up a few strikeouts on occasion, but by and large does not get lots of strikeouts.
Just missed there. 3-2. Axelrod has not made a start since July the 10th. He's been used out of the bullpen. Andre Rienzo was supposed to start tonight, but developed a blister. And that last start that Axelrod made was against the Tigers. Bouncing ball back up the middle, find a hole into center field. 2 hits tonight for Jackson. Hey, by the way, if the Tigers combine for 3 or more home runs in this game, bring a copy of the box score to a participating Arby's location tomorrow and get a free small order of curly fries. One on, one out. Here comes Hunter. Torney had a base on balls against Axelrod in that first inning. Ball 1. In that last start we were talking about that Axelrod made on July the 10th against Detroit here in this ballpark, he was absolutely roughed up. 7 runs on 11 hits. And the Tigers are on their way tonight. They've already got a couple of runs on 4 hits. Robin Ventura has found things a little bit more difficult here in year 2 as opposed to last season when his team was in the race all the way down to the wire before the Tigers caught him. Big swing there by Torrey. 1-1.
Yeah, Robin made it look easy last year. As a matter of fact, Jim Leland commented on that at the end of the year at how easy Robin Ventura was making it look for a rookie manager.
And we often talked last year about how there was such a stark contrast between Ventura and the man he replaced, Ozzie Guillen.
Yeah, they needed to change the culture.
Ozzie was kind of a shoot from the hip type of guy. They didn't hold much back. Ventura much more reserved. Both terrific players in the big leagues. There goes the runner, and a bouncing ball fair down the third base line into left field. Jackson coming to third base. They're going to try and score him. Here he comes to the plate. He's in standing up. 3-1 Detroit.
Jackson, Torrey Hunter, both guys have been on base both of their plate appearances here this evening, and Jackson scored 2 runs. He was on the move here. Once he saw the ball in left field, he gave Tom Brookens, third base coach, an opportunity to send him home because he was really running aggressively toward third base, and a wise decision by number 61, Tom Brookens, who occupies that third base coaching box.
So the Tigers now lead by 2. And Torrey Hunter drives in yet another, number 79, as Cabrera takes the ball low. 3 runs on 5 hits now for Detroit. 1 run, 1 hit for Chicago. With runners in scoring position this year, 399 for Miguel. So Axelrod already has given up 5 hits. We mentioned 11 the last time he faced the Tigers.
And he's got to face Miggy, Prince, and also Victor.
The 1-0. High fly ball again to right field. Garcia coming over toward the foul line. Makes the running catch. Hunter will tag and move up.
Garcia doing a lot of drifting in right field today. Every single ball that has gone in his direction today, he hasn't ran for the ball aggressively. He simply glided after every last one of them. It is such an easier play for you as a defender if you get to your spot and then you get your body set. And if you need to make a throw, you make the throw.
Would you say his better position is right or center field?
Right field, I think, is his best position, and I think that's where his future is.
Here's Fielder now with a man at third and 2 outs. Ball 1 inside.
I don't know if it's the rain up there that is presenting some issues for Garcia in right field this evening, because he should be accustomed to playing in this ballpark. This is where he got his start.
Yeah, I was wondering about that. You know, running and looking into the raindrops has to be a bit of a challenge. Here's the 1-0 pitch. Outside, 2 balls, no strike.
He is a new dad. He just came back from maternity leave.
Little baby girl. His first child, Anarea Garcia.
Won't get much sleep this winter, but it's all good.
Meanwhile, 3-0 on Prince. It's the 4th 3-ball count already in this game for Axelrod. We are only in the 2nd.
Prince is not a selfish guy, but he does want this RBI on third base.
Yes, he does. He lines one to center. Danks coming on to make the catch. And he almost got it. Tigers add another run. They're watching Tigers baseball tonight, presented by Bell Tire.
Under that light flame, beaming in that night game. Can't stop now, keep moving, no break paths. Came here to prove a point, live my life on the field, make history in between the base paths.
Here is today's high-speed sadness brought to you by Charter Internet. And you look at Max's numbers from 08 to 2012. Lefties hit 272 against him, hitting only 224 against him this year. And he has really been able to own the right-handers to the tune of a 163 batting average. That is the second lowest in the majors.
And Max goes back to work here in the top of the third. Tigers lead at 3-1 as Scherzer goes for his 20th win of this campaign. Gordon Beckham leads it off, then Josh Fegley, and then Alejandro De Asa. Swing and a miss, 0-2.
Max is 8 of 8 in first pitch strikes here so far this evening, which means he wants to stay out there for a while and keeps that pitch count down low.
Right back up the middle on the ground into center field. It's a base hit. Leadoff man is on. Time for a game break now as we check in with Shannon Hogan. Shannon, thanks. We'll certainly keep our eyes on that one, obviously, because that will determine the Tigers' wild card, or I should say a magic number situation. The wild card right now, Tampa, Texas, have the top spots, and Cleveland a half game out. So they are certainly playing for plenty. It's fouled away. Josh Fegley, the batter. .231 this year for Fegley, getting a long look behind the plate. It seems like Roddy's played just about every game against the Tigers.
Tyler Flowers was their starting catcher at the beginning of the year when they elected not to bring back A.J. Przinsky, but Flowers, he floundered from a batting average standpoint, and he lost his job.
It's a high fly ball, shallow left, hooking into foul ground, back out of play.
And we talked about this when Eric Wedge was in town the last 4 days. Two types of manager this time of year. You could be Jim Leland looking to get your team back to the postseason, or Robin Ventura on the other side. It's been a bad year, and you're looking at a lot of young players getting prepared for 2014.
Got to see what they can do. Fegley sits safely in his last 4.
Max needs to make a better 0-2 pitch than he did to Beckham, who singled up the middle on an 0-2 pitch.
Popped up. Foul ground. Prince says, I'll take it. And everybody backs off. Beckham holds at first base, 1 out. He's going to bring up the top of the order, De Asa. Pretty good ratio so far for Max. He's gone 0-2 quite a bit in this ball game tonight. 5 times, as a matter of fact.
Doug Fister's spread looked just like that last night through the first 3 innings. Filling up that strike zone was Doug Fister.
Max came into this game with 227 strikeouts, second in the American League behind Yu Darvish. Tonight so far he has only 1, and that was Ramirez back in the first.
Tigers pitching staff racked up a lot of strikeouts against the Seattle Mariners, who just departed last night. They had 3 starts where their starters all had 10 strikeouts each in their outings.
Chopper to first. Prince has it, fires to second. There's one. Relay. Safe at first base. Ooh, it was close. De Asa can run, but Scherzer got there in good fashion.
One of the things that you have to learn as a first baseman when you are faced with this particular play right now is you have to get it and you have to make a good throw to the shortstop. You can't worry about throwing that ball and then trying to get back to first base so you can receive the throw from the shortstop. And the way that you do that, and if you do that, you can make a good throw as Prince Fielder does right there. Max Scherzer will be there, but De Aza just too fast. He was able to beat it.
Two-out runner at first base for Alexei Ramirez.
Something else that made that a very easy play for Prince Fielder is the fact that he's turning his body as he's gloving this baseball, turning his feet and that front shoulder toward the shortstop, which allowed him to make a very accurate throw.
A strike called on Ramirez. This question was asked of Leland the other day. He was asked, do you think that Prince is having one of his better defensive seasons? And when you look at some of the defensive work he has turned in this year, Rod, I think that maybe he has.
You know what leads me to believe that he's had a good year defensively is that no one has really talked about it as being a deficiency for him.
Right. Here's the 0-1.
He is not going to win a Gold Glove, but when there have been balls that have thrown over to him in the dirt, he simply picks them. He's only made 6 mixed cues over at that position, and most of those came early this year, so he has played a really nice first base.
0-2 the count on Alexei Ramirez. Scherzer trying to finish him off here. He struck him out back in the first.
Max able to get ahead of all 3 of the batters, and he has seen the last 3 anyway. No balls, 2 strikes.
Wouldn't go fishing this time. 1-2 now on Ramirez.
It may not be a bad pitch to turn De Aza loose on if you're Robin Ventura. He has 19 steals. There's already 2 strikes on your hitter Ramirez, and if he does strike out or if De Aza gets thrown out before he strikes out, if it's a ball, then he simply has himself a fresh count next time he comes up. Tigers know that's a possibility too, though.
Bouncing ball second base side. Fonte will throw him out. So much for the White Sox here in the third. Here comes the bottom half. 3-1 Detroit.
In the first inning, Robin Ventura was faced with the decision with a base open to whether walk Victor Martinez or not, which he did. He loaded the bases, and Andy Dirt stepped up with a solid single right back up the middle. Austin Jackson had doubled, Torrey Hunter had walked, and both came around to score on the Dirt's base hit.
Well, the Tigers have 3 runs, 5 hits, and the visiting White Sox have a run on 2 hits, as Martinez will stand in to lead things off here in the bottom of the 3rd. Victor and then Dirks and then Infante facing Dylan Axelrod. And there's a strike called on Victor. Martinez has hit safely in his last 6 in a row. He's had a big year against the White Sox. 424 is his average versus Chicago pitching this year. And when you look at the numbers, he's had 25 hits in the season series, as Axelrod's numbers look like this.
As Victor stands in the batting average in the batter's box right now, his batting average is at 301, which is right there on par with his career batting average. Came into this season batting 302 right-handed and left-handed.
Skied foul down the left field line.
And he had a long way to go to get to 301.
It was a pretty sizable mountain to climb, especially at the end of May. Got a little bit better each month until in July he just went off. Same story in August.
Gained nearly 65 points in the last 9 months. 9 weeks, I should say.
Here's the 1-2. Do you think he might have been a little bit too anxious early on in the season?
I think he was a little anxious in spring training as well, and they had to slow him down and give him a few days off because he was chomping at the bit to get back out there after missing the entire 2012 season. Hit some balls hard early in April and May, didn't have much to show for it, but he kind of stayed with the grind and things worked out for him.
Ripped into right field, another hit from Martinez. Garcia going over to get it, and Victor will stop with a single.
Really hard to maintain the same exact fluid swing from both sides of the plate, but Victor Martinez has been able to do that. Just tremendous balance through the strike zone. Great weight transfer out onto that front side.
That's 26 hits this year against Chicago pitching in a season series. Right now, the Detroit leads 10-6. And they've won 4 of 6 at home against the White Sox. Ball high to Andy Dirks, who had a big hit back in the 1st inning. Andy accepted the challenge of batting after they walked Martinez intentionally, and he responded with a 2-run single. Pulled on the ground and threw another hit. Martinez going to try and get to 3rd. Garcia's throw not in time. Hits the runner. Dirks thought about going to 2nd, but he'll stop.
That is a really good throw by Garcia in right field, and the reason for that is he kept the ball low enough that Andy Dirks, who had hit that baseball, could not decide whether Ramirez, the shortstop, was going to cut it or not. Therefore, he had to stay at first base. Good hustle by Victor. Really good throw down toward the cutoff man there by Avisail Garcia.
Victor challenging the arm of Garcia, which, as we know, is pretty good. And he got in there easily. Another scoring chance now for Detroit. That is their 7th hit of the game.
Omar Infante swung at the first pitch he saw last time up and got a base hit in the left field.
His 6th hit of the homestand, and with men in scoring position this year, 327.
Quietly, he's had a great year, playing in the shadow of guys like Victor, Miggy, Prince, Jackson, Torrey Hunter, Peralta the first half of the year.
Fly ball, shallow right field. Martinez will tag, but he is going to hold. No chance of scoring there as Garcia gets it back in. First out of the inning. It'll bring up Avila. Strikeout back in the first for Alex, which ended the inning. Tigers got 2 in the first, 1 in the second. On the outer edge, a strike. Axelrod, originally signed by the Padres, was released and then decided to go play independent baseball to try and get back to the major leagues. White Sox signed him, and he has indeed gotten back to the big leagues. He has spent time in the rotation and the bullpen this year. As the rain begins to fall again here at the ballpark. It's been on and off most of the early evening and into game time.
This little shower here has gotten a few of the fans up out of their seats to run for a little cover.
Here's the 1-1. Swing and a miss.
Good cut fastball there by Axelrod at 87 miles an hour. That ball had a lot of late life on it.
Martinez and Dirks with singles here in the third. Tigers trying to build on their 3-1 lead. And in the process, chop that magic number down. Thought about going after it, did not. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Waiting on deck, Santiago. Struck the other way into left field. A base hit. Score another run. Martinez is in, and the Tigers lead 4-1.
Just a really patient at bat here by Avila, knowing that really all he wants to accomplish is hit something deep enough to left field, which would score the run. He stays on that changeup. That ball's about 3 inches off the plate, and he whistles it through the left side of the infield.
So the Tigers continue to add to their totals here. Still only 1 out. Here's Santiago.
I told you about Axelrod earlier. Even though he's able to get ahead of some of the Tigers hitters, he does not have that true strikeout pitch, that true put away pitch. Therefore, Tigers hitters awfully comfortable against Axelrod, even with 2 strikes.
Well, in his last 2 starts against Detroit, he's now given up 19 hits. And actually, we're only into the 3rd inning of start number 2.
Yeah, Tigers hitters have not been a good matchup for Dillon.
Here's the 1-0. Fouled back out of play. 1 ball, 1 strike on Santiago. Fly ball to right field his first time. 0 for 1 for Ramon. Got some action already in the bullpen for the White Sox. That would be Ramon Troncoso. Here's the 1-1. 2 balls, 1 strike now on Santiago. .29 in the first inning. got a little bit better in the second inning, but this is turning into a long third inning for Axelrod. Driven to right center field. That'll get down. Base hit. Dirk's coming to third. They're going to stop him there. And the bases are loaded.
That's why it's very, very important for you when you're on second base, in this case being Andy Dirks, that you know exactly where the center fielder is playing. And if you know where the center fielder is playing, you don't hesitate as much as he did there, and you may have been able to score there. You see, Tom Brookins was well down that third baseline, wanted to make sure that Danks fielded that ball cleanly, and he did not want to run the risk of sending Dirks home there.
So the Tigers threaten for more here, leading at 4-1. They are loaded up with only one out.
Just because the first pitch to a particular batter, the outfielders are playing in one spot, it doesn't mean that they won't move positions with the strike going to 0-1 or 0-2. So as a base runner, you really have to know where they're playing.
Jackson's had a big night already. Single, double, 2 runs scored. Austin takes a ball outside.
Axelrod has pitched in a whole lot of traffic so far this evening. Nine knocks already, and by Tigers hitters.
7 of 19 on first pitch strikes.
It's tough to live that way if you're a guy that doesn't strike out many people. You can't pitch 1-0, 2-1 all night long.
Bouncer foul. 1-1. Well, in his career against the Tigers, which has spanned 7 games, the numbers look like this, and there's no letting up tonight. 360 average in these 7 games. 9 more Tigers hits in this game. Fegley down to block it. 2 balls, 1 strike. Jackson doubled and scored back in the first, singled and scored in the second. He's got the bases loaded here with 1 out. Swing and a miss. 2-2. Tigers already have 10 at bats with a man in scoring position tonight. They made good on 4 of those. Again, Axelrod was not scheduled to start tonight. Andre Rienzo was, but he had a blister for him, so he was a scratch. Here's the 2-2. Driven back out of play, foul into the raindrops. '71 pitches already for Axelrod. We are only in the 3rd. Breaking ball missed. 3-2. Torrey Hunter will be next. Here's the 3-2. Swing and a miss. Struck him out. Jackson retired for the first time tonight.
'89-mile-per-hour heater up in the zone, thrown right by Austin Jackson.
So with 2 outs, we'll see what Torrey can do here. Tigers lead 4-1. They have scored in every inning so far, each of the first 3. Walk and a run scored, double to drive in a run in the second. Chopper foul down the third base line.
Torrey got himself a hanging breaking ball right there on that by Axelrod, and swing got a little bit too big. He would love to have that pitch back. He was also looking at the dirt like he slipped when he took that big swing.
The rain has not been so heavy as that they have had to come out between innings to drop some diamond drive. It's been fairly steady over the last innings, although nothing heavy. 0-1 on Hunter. Ground ball, base hit the other way. Dirk scores. Here comes Avila rounding third. Garcia's throw cut off. 2-run single by Torrey Hunter. A 3 RBI night for Hunter.
Torrey Hunter is such a pro. After getting the first pitch hanging breaking ball from Axelrod, he realized that he overswung on that pitch. So he simply told himself, let the ball travel, take the base hit to right field, which he does, and he gets rewarded with a couple of more RBIs.
81 driven in now for Torrey on the season as you check out his hits by direction.
If you look at Torrey's numbers going back to last year in that number 2 spot, he has been the best hitter in the American League in several offensive categories, occupying that number 2 slot.
Axelrod's night comes to an end. Wallside windows pitching change here in Detroit. On the board for Detroit as the rain continues to fall here in the Motor City. We remind you that you can enjoy, as you enjoy a cold one, look forward to Miller Time later in tonight's game, brought to you by Miller Lite.
Torrey likes to chop it up with those umpires, doesn't he?
He sure does. He likes to chop it up with anybody, really.
He gets them going, too.
Well, we've got a pitching change here, and now Chicago will bring in Ramon Troncoso.
He checks in with a 5.19 ERA, 16 strikeouts, 15 walks for Troncoso in the 26 prior games he's pitched in this year.
8th man to bat in the inning as Miguel Cabrera will stand in.
Yeah, Robin Ventura had a feeling it would be a bullpen night anyway, with Axelrod starting, and Axelrod having not started a big league game since all the way back in July.
Cabrera has hit the ball in the air to right field twice in this game, 0 for 2. Fegley can't find it, but finally locates it.
And Troncoso will go anywhere from 91 to 94 with his fastball. He's got some arm side tail in sync with that pitch, which would tail the ball into the right-hander. He also features a slider and a curveball about 7% of the time. So mostly fastball sliders from Troncoso.
Fouled back out of play. 1 ball, 1 strike. Righties just 161 against Troncoso this year, but lefties, they hit him pretty good. 364. Tigers 2 in the first, 1 in the second, 3 in the third.
It's been a lengthy sit down for Tigers starter Max Scherzer.
Ground ball left side, base hit. That'll score another run. Santiago is in. It's 7-1 Detroit. And that run will be charged to Axelrod.
Let's take a look at our pitch by pitch and how Troncoso goes after Miguel Cabrera. Miggy, for the most part, has hit mostly everything the opposite way the last couple of days. We'll show you that pitch by pitch when we get it.
So the Tigers now have 7 runs on 11 hits, and here comes the Prince as they send 9 men to the plate in this inning. Fielder looks at a ball outside.
Tigers offense, this is more like it tonight when Max Scherzer's on the mound. Max has been given a lot of run support this year from his teammates, but the last few starts they have not scored a lot of runs for him, but they're in a very hitterish mood this evening.
Fielder is 0 for 2, strikeout, flyout. Now the 2-0. Tardy sending it back into the seats.
Here's that to Miguel Cabrera pitch by pitch with Troncoso being on the mound. He fell behind Miggy, but every swing Miggy's taken so far today, he's looking to hit the ball the opposite way, and he finally got him a hanging breaking ball that was up in the strike zone and got himself a base hit and RBI. And there's that $1 million smile that Miguel Cabrera features. Well, $20 million smile.
It's a ball inside, 3-1. You can throw out numbers. You might as well be accurate.
He's earned every nickel.
That he has.
I mean, every nickel.
Tigers have out hit the White Sox tonight, 11-2. They are pouring it on. 7-1 score. 3-1 pitch is ball 4 outside. So the Tigers bat around here in the third, and batting for the second time is Martinez, who led this inning off with a single. Three grand slams in the career of Mr. Martinez. 325 is his average with bases loaded. We have said the Tigers have the bases loaded quite a few times tonight. Hunter, Cabrera, Fielder this time occupy the bases. Fouled away, 0-1. Victor's been on base twice, walked intentionally in the first. That was not a good move in retrospect because Dirks followed with a 2-run single. Dylan Axelrod has been the recipient of most of the punishment tonight. To be exact, it is the 4th time tonight the Tigers have had the bases loaded. 2nd time in this inning. Here's the 0-1. 1 ball, 1 strike. Strike called on Martinez. 1-2 the count on Victor. Troncoso is replacing Axelrod here in the 3rd. He's given up a single and a walk, but he's ahead of Martinez 1-2. Pulled to second base and caught there on a hop. They'll throw him out. So the inning is over. Big inning for the Tigers. They score 4 more. Some hustle from Victor in this half inning. Tigers celebrating a couple of more runs as Cabrera drives one in. Is brought to you by Arby's. Try Arby's new Smokehouse Brisket Sandwich today. Arby's, slicing up freshness. And by Bell Tire. Get the lowest tire price, period. Bell Tire. Fans seeking some cover in the concourse tonight. Rain still falling here at the ballpark, but we play on. It's 7-1 in favor of Detroit as we head now to the top of the 4th inning. It's been a big night for the Tigers offense, but it's potentially going to be a big night for Max Scherzer, who is searching for his 20th win of this campaign, and so far through 3 innings, just 1 run.
Pitch count is in an outstanding shape, averaging just 12 pitches per inning in the first 3 innings of this game.
Well, tickets for all potential American League Division Series games at Comerica Park are on sale now. For tickets, visit Tigers.com for more information. And the Tigers certainly hoping to be part of the postseason again this year. They try and cut their magic number down to 3 with a win here tonight. In the 4th inning, it's going to be Gillespie, Konerko, and Dunn for Chicago. A lot of big nights already for the Tigers offensively. Jackson's had a pair of hits. Torrey Hunter has knocked in 3, flashing a big smile. He's still talking to the umpires.
Tigers' trio of outfielders have gotten busy already in this game.
Dirks 2-run single.
Laz Diaz now chopping it up with T. Hunter. Let that man do his work, Torrey.
Gillespie had a sac fly to drive in a run back in the first and a ball high.
Lengthy sit down for Max. 33 minutes from the last time he threw a pitch. He'll take all those runs, though.
That's it for a strike. 1-1. He's been backed by 11 hits in this contest. The Tigers knocking Dylan Axelrod out of this game. The pitch count for Max, as you mentioned, in good shape. He hadn't really picked up too many strikeouts. That's one of the reasons early on here. But Tigers starters now have gone 4 of the last 5 with 10 or more strikeouts.
Looked like that was a conscious effort on Max's part here today to take his foot off the gas pedal just a little bit early and not trying so hard to get number 20 as he has been the last 3 outings. He's also opposed some pretty good pitchers. John Lester a few starts ago in Boston. Hooked up with Chris Sale his last start in Chicago.
And the 2-2 just off the plate. 3-2.
Xfinity high speed pitch on Max Scherzer so far this evening. Top fastball 95 miles an hour and 76. That newfound curveball which has allowed him to really do a good number against left-handed batters all season.
Cabrera coming over. Looks like he has room, and he does. Gillespie is out, 1 gone. Bring up Paul Konerko. Time now for the AT&T trivia question here tonight. Let's see what we have in store. Which 5 active players have at least 400 homers and 400 doubles in their careers? There are 5 actives. Can you name them? Konerko with a fly ball back in the first. In for a strike, 0-1. Should I give him a hint?
Yeah, give him a hint.
You're looking at one of them. So now we just need 4.
I just rattled off 3. I'm trying to figure out who that 4th one could be.
Here's the 0-1 pitch. Ball inside. 1 ball, 1 strike. What a career Konerko has had. He ranks 2nd in the top 3 categories, 3rd in hits in White Sox history. He'll slap that one to right field, add another to that total. 1-out single for Konerko. Just the 3rd hit of the game given up by Max. Here is the slugging Adam Dunn. Had a base hit taken away and a diving play by Santiago in his first at bat. That was back in the 2nd. And he skies this one a mile high in the air. Left center field. Dirks and Jackson. Dirks right in front of AJ to make the catch.
Big Adam Dunn's fly balls, they literally bring rain.
2 gone. Well, that one certainly did. Here is Garcia. Flat out to center field is only time 0 for 1. Garcia back in action after missing 3 games for the birth of his first child, little baby girl. Wave and a miss, 0-1. Tigers minor league player of the year last year, of course, dealt over this season in the Iglesias/Peavy deal.
That deal is going to work out very well for the White Sox for a number of years, for the Tigers for a number of years, and it's going to work out in the immediate future for the Boston Red Sox. Peavy, I don't think he's going to pitch much longer.
Bouncing ball foul.
But you would expect that Garcia and Iglesias, they have 10 really good years of production left in their bodies.
Well, in the Tigers case, they get a player at a premium position as well, the shortstop position for the next decade.
And the White Sox get themselves a corner outfielder that can hit for power.
Here's the 0-2. 1 ball, 2 strikes on Garcia.
It might not be all bad for Max to change the eye level of Garcia, go upstairs with a mid-90s fastball. Everything that he's thrown him in this pitch sequence has been at the bottom of the zone, and it's been soft stuff. And here they go with the fastball up, changing the eye level. Let's see if it works.
Fouled away. $50 now for Scherzer. He needed just 8 to get through a 1-2-3 second. Low again as Avila goes down to stop it. 2 balls, 2 strikes. How about that score update now from Cleveland, where the Indians have taken a lead on the Astros 2-1 as they play in the bottom of the 5th inning.
They played a really close game last night. I believe the Tribe needed 11 innings to beat the Houston Astros last night.
They did.
So Houston did show up.
The 2-2 lifted back out of play. It's a 4-game series that the White Sox are playing with the Indians are playing with the Houston Astros. And of course, when you look at the raw numbers, that bodes well for the Indians because Houston has won just 51 games this year.
When we saw them in spring training, though, and we saw them at the beginning of the year, I thought they were going to lose more than the 119 games the Tigers lost last in 2003.
Well, that won't happen, but they may get fairly close. They've lost 102 ball games. In fact, they're the only team in the majors with at least 100 losses.
And I think there were a lot of experts out there that thought they would lose 120 with their roster, their payroll.
Two balls, 2 strikes on Garcia. Breaking ball hammered in the air deep into left field down the line, and that ball is going to go. It is out of here. A 2-run shot for Avisail Garcia, and the White Sox get a couple back.
One too many breaking balls to Garcia, and the last of the breaking balls that Max decided to throw him, he hung it. Bright future for Mr. Garcia.
That is his 5th home run of the season, and it was a no-doubter. Jordan Danks takes a ball outside. 7-3 ball game now. Here's the 0-1 from Max. Way inside, all the way to the backstop, 2-0. Garcia now with 25 RBIs. 2-out, 2-run shot here in the 4th. Here's the 2-0 pitch. Checked it. 2-1. Danks 0 for 1 with a ground ball. He came in batting over 300 in his last 30 games. Lifted foul down the left field line. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Got him. Strike 3. That'll end the inning. However, they get a couple of runs back in the Garcia home run. Bottom of the 4th coming up.
Times against a starter of the Chicago White Sox, Dylan Axelrod, and they were up to the challenge. Torrey Hunter got it done. Andy Dirks also got it done. As a matter of fact, Torrey Hunter has been right in the middle of everything the Tigers have done so far in this contest offensively. Jackson shipped in. We talked about Dirks shipping in. Well played offensive game so far through the first 3 innings for the good guys.
Well, as the rain continues to fall here, the grounds crew coming out and spreading more diamond dry on the field, try and keep it playable. 7-3 is our score now as we go to the bottom of the 4th.
Raining a little bit harder now than it has at any point through the first 3 innings.
Andy Dirks will start things off in the bottom of the 4th. It'll be Dirks, Infante, and then Avila. Troncoso is back out there. He took over for Axelrod back in the 3rd frame. Andy has had 2 hits and 2 RBIs. Way outside 1-0. Plenty on the line tonight for the Tigers, trying to chop that magic number down by 1 and give Max Scherzer his 20th win. Lifted foul down the left field line. Tigers up on Cleveland by 6 in the Central. Magic number stands at 4. Tigers win here tonight. It's down to 3. And of course, any Cleveland loss would also take a number off of that magic number. Here's the 1-1. High fly ball. Shallow right field. Garcia and Danks, and it's Danks. Andy retired for the first time tonight. It'll bring up Omar Infante, who is 1 for 2 this evening. Tigers have 11 hits in this game. It'll bounce to the backstop. 1-0. .316 average now for Omar. And a total of 6 hits on this homestand. The Tigers have 3 against the Sox. Then they close out the year in Minnesota for 3 and then in Miami for 3. Strike called, and it's 1-1 now on Infante. Wave and a miss. 1-2.
Good breaking ball there at 83 miles an hour from Troncoso. And had Omar Infante out in front of that breaking ball.
Chicago bullpen this year with an ERA of 3.91. That is 11th in the American League. Swing and a miss, and down goes Infante. 2 outs. The White Sox bullpen has also taken 34 losses. Here's the AT&T trivia question. You had time to think about it. What 5 active players have 400 homers, 400 doubles in their career? We gave you Paulie, as they call him in Chicago. You got Giambi, David Ortiz, Pujols, and A-Rod. How many of those did you get?
I ended up getting all 4 of them.
Good work. 2 outs now. Here's Avila. Fouled off 0-1.
The final one, I wasn't sure whether it was Jason Giambi or Todd Helton of the Colorado Rockies.
Helton's a really good guess, actually. But he'll be active just for about another week. Announcing his retirement. Now the 0-1. Alex looking at a strike. 0-2.
In case you're wondering, Todd Helton has 368 home runs. But over 500 two-baggers. Todd Helton will never get credit for the kind of hitter and player that he really was, because he played in that very light air out in Colorado. They had some good players go through there. Larry Walker, Dante Bichette. A lot of guys had good careers there, but they will never be given the credit for it.
Lake Street Bombers.
Yes, they were. Andres Galarraga.
2-2.
Big Cat. He won a batting title out in Colorado.
Jim Leland managed there for a spell before he decided to leave the managing game for a while and left Colorado behind. And as Jim pointed out, I just didn't like managing 12 to 11 games, which he saw a lot of. As Avila strikes out. 1-2-3 inning for Troncoso. 4 in the books. Let's go to the 5th at a soggy Comerica. 7-3 Detroit. Inning here at the ballpark. It is time now for tonight's Ace Hardware Scott fan poll question of the game. Here it is. Of these four, which stat is most important when determining the Cy Young winner? Is it A, a guy's record, B, his ERA, C, strikeouts, or D, whip? Walks, hits, per innings pitched is what that stat is. Text ACE then a space, then A, B, C, or D to 37338. Cast your vote. How about we take a look at some Cy Young candidates as we wind down the season? Here's some guys that certainly are in the running.
Well, that question kind of comes into play here because you have some guys with more strikeouts, some guys with better ERAs. Of course, Max paces the American League with 19 wins. Iwakuma, we just saw him a couple of days ago. Darvish. I got Max winning it right now if it ended today.
Well, here are the whip leaders. Scherzer is on top of that list. So
that means the WAR guys are liking him then.
Let's see, Sale is on that list. We'll see him in this series. That's tomorrow, I believe. Chris Sale will pitch against Rick Porcello tomorrow. Scherzer back to the hill, and he will face Beckham, Fegley, and De Aza. Breaking ball is in for a strike. 0-1. That's going to be a fair ball down the first base line, perhaps extra bases. Beckham is on his way to second. He'll pull in with a stand-up double. So the White Sox, despite falling behind big early 7-1, starting to fight back a little bit. 19 doubles now for Beckham.
Beckham, totally different hitter these days. He was encouraged by his manager, Robin Ventura, to stop trying to hit for power and to take the base hits the other way. Therefore, he's really down in his crouch. And he's 2 for 2 today. One up the middle and one to right field. Crossed up there.
Still got a strike.
Got lucky. Avila was looking for an off-speed pitch, and he was still able to catch the fastball at 93 miles an hour. And he's like, boy, oh boy.
Scherzer now has given up 5 hits in this game. Gave up a run in the first, 2 in the 4th inning after the Tigers built a 7-1 lead. And trying to strand a leadoff double here in the 5th. Fegley is 0 for 1. And when you look at his season numbers with men in scoring position, pretty good. 295. Popped him up. Right down the middle of the infield. Infante. That's a start, 1 away. He's going to bring up De Aza. .298 this year for De Aza with men in scoring position. White Sox last year won a total of 85 games under Robin Ventura. Right now they stand at 60-92, so they have taken quite a step back from the team that was in the race pretty much down to the final week last year. Here's the 1-0, and it's a strike called. 1-1. Right now Chicago dead last in the Central. 1-2 the count on DeAza.
They really haven't had a good offensive season. Also fielding percentage at the bottom. They are dead last.
Two balls, two strikes. Leadoff two-base hit by Beckham. He is still at second base with 1 out. Lifted toward left, but slicing away from Dirks. That'll get back out of play. Max this year 10-1 against the Central. His ERA is sub-3, 2.91. And gave up an early run, but then a 2-run homer to Avisail Garcia in the 4th inning to make it 7-3. Here's the 2-2. Another foul, back out of play.
It's been a pretty good at-bat by DeAza. Fouling off everything that Max Scherzer has featured to him in this at-bat, whether it be that slow curveball or the mid-90s fastball. 82 runs scored for their leadoff hitter on a squad that was not very good offensively.
Sliced back up the middle into center, base hit. Beckham watched it through, so he will stop at third base. It's a single for DeAza. First and third now with 1 out.
DeAza, good fastball hitter. Man, this fastball's 95. He didn't try to do much with it, just simply pulled the hands inside and sliced it right over the head of Ramon Santiago.
And so now 6 hits on the board for Chicago. And Scherzer's pitch count is up to 70 now. Here is Alexi Ramirez.
Max sure could use a ground ball here. Alexi Ramirez is grounded into 17 double plays this year. He's got speed, but he takes a big swing and he doesn't get out of the batter's box very fast.
Line drive caught and nearly a double play.
Good base running by Beckham. I mean, your natural reaction as a base runner on a ball hit like that on the line is take 1 or 2 steps toward that next base. Had he done that, Miguel Cabrera would have been able to double him off, but he looked like he just kind of froze and headed back toward third base.
Meanwhile, Ramirez is saying, I can't hit a ball harder than that.
He was still in the batter's box. Hang with him.
2 down now, 7-3 the score remains. Here is Connor Gillespie. Sac fly and a pop-up. In for a strike, 0-1. Scherzer has done something this year he had not done previously in his career, and that's pitch over 200 innings in a season. 195 was his high. He had done that a couple of times, but he has surpassed that this year.
It's been a special year for Max. Starting pitcher for the American League at the All-Star game in New York in July.
Well, a chance to win 20 here in this ball game tonight.
And looking again like he's going to get some starts in the postseason in the 3rd consecutive year.
7 times he's gone 10 or more strikeouts this season. White Sox have runners at first and third, 2 outs. We're in the 5th. Two and 1 now the count on Gillespie, who is elevated to the 3 spot in the lineup in this game. Gillespie, for the most part, hit much lower, 6th and 7th in previous games against Detroit. Total of 96 hits this year, 3rd most among the rookies. There's the 2-1. 3 and 1 now in Gillespie.
Last couple of innings, Max has had to work rather hard. Had just 36 pitches through the first couple of innings, first 3 innings.
23 in the 4th inning alone. It was the inning in which Garcia hit a 2-run shot. Walked him, and that's going to load the bases now for Chicago. Max just issued his first walk, which means Jeff Jones will come out of the dugout. And they've got him loaded up. Gene Lamont, meanwhile, gets on the telephone. There's a call being made to the bullpen right now to get somebody stirring. Don't forget to join us again tomorrow. The Tigers continue their series with the White Sox. Our coverage begins at 6 with Tigers Live. The Tigers and Sox tomorrow night right here on Fox Sports Detroit. They got to uncover the bullpen mound first with all the rain falling. A view from our camera high above the scoreboard here at Comerica. Alvarez and Peconin beginning to warm up. Hopefully Max will not need some help here in the 5th inning. They've got him loaded up with 2 outs, and they've got Konerko coming up. Tying run stepping in right now against Scherzer.
And be careful here if you're Max and you decide to throw Konerko a first pitch fastball. Even though he is in the twilight of a brilliant major league career, hands are still fast. Still a really good fastball hitter.
Wave and a miss.
Good breaking ball there. Konerko dialed in for the fastball. Couldn't hold up even after he recognized it was going to be a really good slider at the bottom of the zone.
Bouncing ball slowly towards second base. Infante will gobble it up, and the threat is over. They leave him loaded. Go to the bottom of the 5th. Tigers baseball tonight presented by Bell Tire. Brought to you by Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs 2 in theaters September the 27th. More than cloudy here, it's raining at the ballpark. It has been really since the beginning of the ball game. Yet we've been able to play through it, and the Tigers have put up 7 runs on 11 hits. The White Sox 3 runs, 6 hits. They left the bases loaded, though, in the 5th inning.
Wise decision by the Tigers to start this game. Of course, they had to get the approval of Major League Baseball when you start games in the rain, knowing that the rain was only going to get worse later on in the evening.
Here is Santiago. Ramon starts it off here in the 5th inning facing Troncoso, who was on in relief of the starter Axelrod back in the 3rd. Santiago a single and a fly ball in this game, and he takes ball 1 high. Jackson will follow then Torrey Hunter. There's a strike called on the outer edge. Talk about how good Santiago has been, or how much better he has been in the second half. There is graphical proof. 281 since the All-Star break. You know, the other thing right about Santiago is it doesn't matter if you put him at second, at short, or third. It seems like his defense at each of those positions is equally good.
And you can also sit him down for 5, 6, 7 days in a row, and when you do call upon him, he's going to give you a quality at bat. And as you mentioned, usually flawless with the glove in his hand. That's why he is a really good bench player.
2-2 on Ramon. Bouncing ball first base side, fair ball. Konerko, nice play, and Troncoso dropped it.
That is one of those plays, and we'll have to get a look at it to see if that's exactly what happened to Troncoso. But usually when you're going to first base, you're trying to catch the ball and look at the bag at the same time. Troncoso seems like he's going to get there, but at the last possible second, he looks down to see whether he's going to touch the bag or not, and he's trying to avoid collision with Ramon Santiago, and he just doesn't catch it cleanly. He should be given an error on that play.
Konerko gets an assist. The error goes to the pitcher. Perfect throw. Leadoff man is on now as the Tigers send up Austin Jackson. Single double. 2 runs scored for Jackson. And down the middle it comes, 0-1. That is the first error of the ball game for either side in this contest. Wave and a miss. 0-2 on Jackson. Talking about how poor the Chicago defense has been. That is their 117th error, which is the most in the American League. And former Tiger David Percy warming up. One and two. Steady rain still falling here at Comerica. It has been all night. Tigers got 2 in the first, 1 in the second, 4 in the third. Ball high, 2-2. Here's a fly ball into right, and it's going to be caught by Garcia. So Jackson retired. First out of the inning. Here's Torrey now. He's had a couple of hits. He's also walked and driven in 3 tonight. It's been a big night for Hunter, who now has 81 RBIs, and he is marching toward 300 once again. 298 batting average. Torrey over his career has seen the White Sox quite a bit, playing a lot in the American League Central, and as a result has hit 31 career home runs against Sox pitching over the years. A lot of that damage done as a Minnesota Twin. Well, with the rain falling here, it appears the Cleveland Indians are in a rain delay. Leading Houston 2-1, that game in the 7th. Here the Tigers and White Sox have been able to play through the rain because it really never has gotten awfully heavy.
Grounds crew has done a marvelous job in between innings coming out and making sure that the playing surface stays safe for the players.
Missed it. No, it's a strike in the inside part of the plate. 1-1. So Troncoso now has thrown 36 pitches in relief for the White Sox tonight. Dylan Axelrod was bounced out of this game back in the 3rd when the Tigers were scoring 4 runs. Little chopper foul. I find it interesting, Rod, that even some of the better hitters in this game, like Miguel Cabrera, like Torrey Hunter, the last thing they do when they step into the box is take that big, deep breath.
I would notice that a couple of at-bats ago, a couple of swings ago when Torrey did that, and it just calms them down. Allows them not to get overexcited. Experienced players that really know how to slow the game down in pressured situations.
One and 2 on Hunter. We're in the bottom of the 5th. There's another base hit the other way. Hunter is on again, and Torrey tonight has 3 hits. First and second, 1 out.
Torrey knew that Troncoso, because he came inside aggressively a couple of pitches ago, was ultimately going to try to finish him off away, and Torrey just stayed patient and finally got something that was outside. And we already put up a straight chart earlier this year. A good amount of Torrey's hits this season, right up the middle and right into right field. And there's the updated numbers. Torrey batting .299, trying to bat .300 for the 2nd consecutive year, and the 2nd year in his illustrious 17-year big league career.
So now the table is set for Miguel Cabrera, only 1 out. And Cabrera singled in a run back in the 3rd. He is 1 for 3. And on his hands that time, Miguel turned on it foul.
Miggy not going to catch. And then Mr. Davis, as far as the home runs are concerned, in Baltimore. But the one thing he has done for the last 2 years, he has had the best batting average overall. He has hit the most home runs, and he has driven in the most runs. Overall body of work the last 2 seasons.
take a monumental streak for him to get there. He's down 51 to 44 in the home run category as we scope out some of the MVP candidates. In our mind, maybe the top 3 contenders.
That is probably how they'll finish up. Miguel probably will be first, Davis second, and Mike Trout will probably finish third.
One ball, 2 strikes.
It's kind of unfair to put Trout on that list with his home run and RBI numbers, but if you look at his stolen bases, the amounts of runs that he scores, his on base percentage, Mike Trout is having another tremendous year for the Angels. His team is just not in contention.
Especially when you factor in his age and experience level.
There has never been a player come to the big leagues in his first 2 years do the kinds of things that Mike Trout has done.
2-2 on Cabrera. We're talking earlier about the 400 doubles, 400 homers club. Well, Cabrera's knocking on the door of that club as well. He's had over 400 doubles, 365 home runs.
He'll be in that 500 class when he decides to shut it down, and he's getting ready to head to Cooperstown.
Two balls, 2 strikes. We're in the 5th inning. 7-3 Detroit. 2 on, 1 out. Troncoso missing outside. 3-2.
Who you got winning the MVP right now?
Mickey. I got Mickey 1. I'd have to figure out who I want 2 and 3, but I may lean Trout 2 and Davis 3.
It's kind of hard to vote for anybody other than Miguel Cabrera when his peers regularly say he's the best player in the game, best hitter in the world, best player on the planet.
A bouncer out the middle, tough play. And Beckham will throw him out. Tigers have the runners on the move, so they'll be at 2nd and 3rd now with 2 outs. Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, typically when you talk to the people that are on the field and in the dugouts, that's what they say about Cabrera, so that carries a tremendous amount of weight. Robin Ventura making that slow saunter out to the mound, which means Troncoso's night is about to come to an end. And he will give up the baseball. Got a pitching change courtesy of Wallside Windows here in the 5th. We shall return.
Fielder really has picked the right time to get hot. And for his squad, since August 29th, the batting average is over 400. Lots of extra base hits. He's driving in runs that Miguel Cabrera leaves out there, and he's not afraid to take his walk, knowing that Victor Martinez is batting behind him. And a lot of his hits lately have simply gone to left field against the left-handers that have been brought in to face him.
So Fielder will face a new pitcher. That would be the lefty David Percy, who will take over for Troncoso.
Yeah, he's pretty much a situational guy. Will stay out there just for one inning every time Robin Ventura goes to him. 23 2/3 innings logged for Percy in 23 games.
An ERA of 0.44 in his last 19 outings. Couple of runners in scoring position now for Fielder, who is 0 for 2 with a walk. 7 runs, 12 hits. Detroit, 3 runs, 6 hits for Chicago. Bouncing ball back up the middle and into center field, base hit. 2 more runs will score. Fielder has made it 9-3.
He is just an RBI machine. When there are runners in scoring position, his antennas go up, and he usually swings at the first strike that he sees. Didn't hit this one very hard, but with Beckham at second base shading him to the pull side, he was able to muscle this one right past Gordon Beckham.
.105 RBIs on the season now for Fielder. Now Victor Martinez. That's the 13th Tigers hit.
They wanted to make win number 20 an easy one for Max tonight.
Driven in the air, deep into left field. Way back and gone. 2-run shot, Martinez, and the Tigers are pouring it on.
This crowd finally has something to cheer about.
Detroit. Victor remains red hot. 2 more hits tonight.
You mentioned Percy with a sub-1 ERA in his last 19 outings, but the Tigers have punished him here. Base hit, 2 ribbies by Prince Fielder, and a 2-run shot off the bat of Victor Martinez.
13th home run of the year for Victor. It's 80 RBIs now for Martinez. 11 runs on 14 hits. Here's Andy Dirks. Strike 1.
Everybody in the Tigers starting lineup has at least 1 hit here this evening, and many of them have 2.
Tigers have had 16 at-bats with men in scoring position tonight. They are 7 for 16.
In the air by Troncoso on the appeared to be routine play, which led off the inning, has been very troublesome for them.
Slice to center, base hit. And a good night for Andy Dirks. That's his 3rd hit.
We have seen the Tigers do this quite often during the course of the regular season with the best offense. From a batting average standpoint in the American League, they don't give their at-bats away. When they start rolling, they just keep rolling.
Here's Infante. He is the 8th man to bat. 15 Tigers hits. 11 runs on 15. In the air, right field. Garcia's on the run, and he's not going to get it. That's going to go all the way to the wall. Dirks will score. Infante's headed to 3rd. He is in with a triple, and the Tigers are making it rain right now. 12-3.
What you know about making it rain?
Let it rain.
Where is Abisail Garcia playing here? I mean, Infante is not a power hitter by trade, but Garcia was playing very, very shallow, and he had no shot at catching this baseball when it went up.
Three-bagger for Infante. His 2nd hit tonight. And his 49th RBI is 12-3. It's a 5-run inning for Detroit. Swing and a miss by Avila. Alex in the ball game has an RBI single and 3 at bats. Percy has not been the answer. Single homer, single triple. One ball, one strike on Avila, the 9th man to bat in the inning. This is the 2nd time in this game the Tigers have hit around. One and two. Jim Leyland feeling pretty good right now. His team is up 12-3. Cleveland and Houston 2-1 in the 7th. Cleveland being held up by rain. 2 balls, 2 strikes.
With the lengthy sit-downs this evening, and for Max Scherzer with the huge lead, you wonder if Jim's going to give him just one more inning and then turn this one over to his bullpen with a sizable lead.
And he got him. Strike 3 called. Caught him looking. That'll end the inning, but the Tigers tack on 5 big ones. Some big hits in this inning. Victor Martinez 2-run shot. Infante triples one in, and Detroit has broken into wide open.
In that night game, can't stop now, keep moving, no break pads. Came here to prove a point, live my life on the field, make history in between the base paths.
On a rainy night here at the ballpark, the Tigers and Max Scherzer lead this one big time. Tigers offense waking up in a big way here tonight. They've had a 4-run inning, a 5-run inning, and they lead 12-3 as we go to the 6th. 16 hits supporting Max Scherzer tonight. It's gone 5 innings, 6 hits, 3 runs earned, and 2 strikeouts. Don Garcia danks here in the 6th inning, and it's in for a strike. 0-1. Adam Dunn is 0 for 2. Lined out to short, flied out to left. Fly ball toward left, but slicing out of play. Got to hand it to the crowd in attendance here tonight. It's been raining a steady rained most of the evening, but they have hung around and they've been rewarded 12-3.
It's not every day you get a chance to see one of your own win number 20. And I'm sure that's what's kept a lot of these fans right here tonight.
That was an ugly swing by Dunn. He's out of there.
Dunn used to getting fastballs at the top of the zone for strikeouts, and that time Max Scherzer threw him a really good changeup fading down and away. Circle change.
Here's Garcia. He homered. 2-run shot back in the 4th. Fifth home run of the season for the former Tiger. Ball 1 inside. Garcia now with 25 RBIs. One ball, one strike. Danks will be next. High fly ball, right center field. Jackson cruising over. AJ under it, and there are 2 gone. Time for a game break now. Here is Shannon Hogan. Well, it has been falling, Shannon, all night, but they've been able to play through it. It just hadn't been heavy enough to stop this game. We are fortunate for that. And there's a ball high from Scherzer. 1-0 on Danks. It'd be nice for Max to get a 1-2-3 inning here. 2 balls, no strikes. How much of a difference, Rod, do you think in the Cy Young voting would it make if Scherzer were to win 20 compared to 19? Is that big of a deal, do you think?
I think it's a big deal, because it's kind of close. I mean, although I have Max winning it, I mean, the other guys have kind of pitched themselves, up to the level that Max had been pitching at, because Max had kind of stubbed his toe the last few times that he's gone out there. But 20 wins is big for him.
Yeah, and I think there's a psychological aspect to that 20 wins, which no other candidate would have. There's a strike call. 2-2 now on Jordan Danks. 12-3 Detroit here in the 6th. Here's the 2-2. Got a piece of it. Well, the Tigers were able to pounce on Dylan Axelrod tonight. Tomorrow night they're going to face Chris Sale. Rick Porcello will be on the hill for that one. Then Sanchez Johnson on Sunday.
It's always a tough assignment when you go up against Sale, but Rick Porcello has been tremendous in the last 2 months.
Ball is hit hard to center. Jackson cruising back. And it's a 1-2-3 inning for Max Scherzer. Bottom of the 6th coming up in the rain. Tigers lead 12-3.
catalyst of the Tigers. He was off and running in the very first inning, running down a would-be double at the base of the wall in center field. A hustling double his first time up. He came home on the Andy Dirk single, and then he was on first base. He was running. Torrey Hunter hit a double. Jackson, he rounded second. He came around third. He scored. Torrey Hunter ended up with a double. You just wonder if this is the year that Jackson's going to get some serious consideration for possibly winning his first Gold Glove. He's only made 2 errors out there this year, and he makes every play.
Well, we're biased. We see him every day. We certainly think he deserves it. As we go to the bottom of the 6th, it'll be Santiago leading it off, facing David Percy.
Ajax scored his 96th and 97th run also earlier in this game in innings 1 and 2. So he is 3 shy from that century mark again. And he's missed a total month of the year.
Santiago has scored twice in this game, reaching on an error in the last inning, which turned out to be huge because it opened up the doors for the Tigers to score 5 times. 2-0 on Ramon. Then Jackson, then Hunter. And that's it for a strike. 2-1. Albuquerque warming up in the soggy Detroit bullpen. Pulled to third. Nice one-hop play there by Gillespie on the backhand. 1 gone here in the 6th. Plenty to be excited about in the Tigers box score tonight. I mean, up and down, nothing but crooked numbers. They have 16 hits and 12 runs tonight. Jackson a single and a double. Foul straight back. Jackson now 9 hits on this homestand, which is winding down this weekend. 2 balls, 1 strike. David Percy, a native of St. Charles, Illinois. He pitched with the Tigers briefly back in 2011. He appeared in 19 games. The Tigers got it from Oakland. Broke in with Toronto. Fly ball center field, hit a ton. Danks on the move, still going back, track to make the catch. 2 outs. Fans, every game counts, and deposits are now being taken for postseason luxury suite packages. All packages include a credit to be used toward a 2014 suite package. Call 313-471-2222 for more information. They've got some really good grub in those suites. Torrey Hunter steps in. Taking a deep breath. 3 hits and a walk, on base 4 times tonight. Strike 1 on Torrey. Swung right through that one. And he wasn't cheated on that swing. Torrey's average right now at 299. 1-2.
53 multi-hit games this year for Torrey Hunter, which has him in the top 5 in the American League. Eric Hosmer, and it came into play with 57 multi-hit games, so Torrey not far behind.
Ground ball, foul just outside of the bag. Torrey has had 3 4-hit games this year. Straightened him up. 2 balls, 2 strikes. 2 out, nobody on. We're in the 6th. And it's 12-3 Detroit. As Max Scherzer moves closer and closer to his 20th win of 2013. That'll go foul. Hunter trying to keep it going for Cabrera. And yet that young man not minding the rain right now, not after getting a souvenir. Fouled off. Tigers have won 10 of the 16 between these 2 squads this year. And most of those games were played in the second half of the season. The Tigers played the White Sox in a series right before the All-Star break. Everything else has been post All-Star break. There's a soft floater to center and a 4-hit game for Torrey Hunter.
Let's take a look at Torrey Hunter's overall night tonight. He walked his first time up and he was able to score on an Andy Dirks base hit, but then he got it going from an offensive standpoint in the 2nd inning. He doubled, then he came back up in the 3rd inning. He singled, drove in 2, then he came up in the 5th, also singled, and he singled once again here in the 6th. What a night it has been for the all-star right fielder Torrey Hunter.
"17 Detroit hits in this game, and Cabrera takes high 1-0.
And that knock by Torrey Hunter pushed his batting average back up to 300.
Swing and a miss.
Good change up there by David Percy at 82 miles an hour. Good arm speed. Sold it very well.
Torrey's last 4-hit game was July 31st. Ball high. If you're wondering about the Tigers' season high for hits in a game, they are still quite a ways away from it. 26 in Kansas City on the 6th of this month. They've got 17 hits right now. Here's the 2-1. Tried to hold up, couldn't do it. 2-2 the count.
Very seldom will you see Miguel Cabrera up there sitting on something soft and swing at the fastball. Usually if he's sitting something off speed, he'll take that fastball right down the middle because he knows it's impossible for even him to get to it with his skill set.
Two balls, 2 strikes. Driven to center field. Danks on the run, still going, reaching at the warning track. And that'll be it for Detroit here in the 6th. No runs, 1 hit, and 1 left as we go to the 7th. Mad Max coming out for another inning of work. The Tigers in this one, they have pounded out 17 hits in this contest.
Max's night is done. He only had 3 strikeouts in this game, but he is in line to win his 20th victory. And it looked like Max made a conscious effort today to come out pitching to more contact. Did not try to get a whole lot of strikeouts. Lasted 6 innings and could have gone a lot longer in this game, but it's a smart move by Jim to get Max out of the game and get some of the bullpen some work.
I jumped the gun. Albuquerque's actually coming in, so Max is done for the night. And he is in line to get the win here this evening. Hopefully the Tigers bullpen can make quick work of this White Sox offense the rest of the way. 12-3 is the score. Gordon Beckham leading it off here in the 7th inning. Beckham, then Fegley, and then De Aza.
Albuquerque has been getting a lot of opportunities to pitch in this current homestand. They're trying to get him straightened out with that good slider and that mid-90s fastball. If he starts to pitch well and is on the postseason roster, the outs that he can get, it could be invaluable for that Tigers bullpen.
Are there any sliders in this game that are better than Albuquerque's when he is on?
There may be a couple of other guys that have equivalent sliders to Albuquerque, but I don't think that I can name one guy that has the legitimacy of getting swings and misses on the slider when Albuquerque does locate it down and away from the right handers.
He has gone to 3-1 now on Gordon Beckham.
Chris Sale has a great breaking ball, but his from the left side, and his comes with deception and arm slide. But he gets a lot of break on his slide piece.
And he walked him. Didn't want to do that. Even with a big lead, 12-3, Albuquerque walks the leadoff man. Well, Beckham on base for the 3rd time tonight. That'll bring up Josh Fegley. Fegley has popped up twice. Former All-American, Big Ten All-American at Indiana. Batting .228 this year. Ball low, 1-0. Pulled foul down the left field line. When Albuquerque was at his best, and the Tigers saw him at his best back in 2011 before some injuries, he posted an ERA of 1.87. and struck out 67 batters in 43 innings. Last season, though, because of injuries, pitched in only 8 games. Here's the 1-1. 1-2 the count.
But he pitched so well in those 8 games that he found himself on the postseason roster, and Brian Villarreal, who had been with the team all year, was left off the postseason roster.
Yeah, he struck out 18 in 13 in a third innings in the 8 appearances down the stretch. Swing and a miss. Fishing that time after that slider. Albuquerque gets his first strikeout.
Albuquerque has a couple different sliders. He has the one he'll get me over slider, and then he has that one he can put you away with.
Going to bring up Diaz here with 1 out. Single double tonight and a run scored for Diaz. Swing and a miss. Diaz hits it in the air to right. Torrey backs up. 2 gone. Hey, Crowd Goes Wild is the new weekday talk show with Regis Philbin and a cast of former athletes and journalists. You can always expect the unexpected. Catch Crowd Goes Wild weekdays at 5 on Fox Sports 1.
Regis Philbin.
Here's Alexi Ramirez. He's a funny man.
Yes, he is.
Been in show business a long time. Part of the Fox Sports 1 crew now. Alexi is 0 for 3. 1 ball, 1 strike. Scherzer had a 1-2-3 sixth and departs this game 90 pitches under his belt and a chance to win his 20th. Bullpen trying to put the capper on it. There's the 1-1 pitch. High fly ball toward left field. Coming to foul ground. Dirks will get there and run it down. No runs, a walk. 1 man left. Now time for the 7th inning stretch. It's presented by Health Plus. On a rainy night here in the Motor City, we've been able to dodge the raindrops though and get this one in so far. And that's a good thing because the Tigers have a big lead. Connor Gillespie will cross the diamond now, go from third to first, and we've got Marcus Semien who will come in to play third base. Semien in Konerko's old spot in the lineup. So with the rain still falling here at the ballpark, here is Prince Fielder. 2 RBIs in this game for Prince. And he shoots one in the air to left field. On the move is De Aza, reaching, can't get it off the wall. Fielder is on his way to second. He is in with a double.
It's amazing the kind of bat speed that Prince Fielder gets through the hitting zone. He is a big, strong guy, and he hits for a lot of power, but his bat is awfully quick. He takes a pitch at about 78 miles an hour and hits an absolute missile over the head of the left fielder, De Aza.
So Percy has seen him twice and he's gotten 2 hits. We'll get a pinch runner down at second. That's Tuiasa Sopo. And a pinch hitter as well, Castellanos.
Anytime you can get Prince off his feet, because he plays every single day down the stretch the last week of the season, you want to give him some time off if you can.
Castellanos is batting for Martinez, who had a big game. Ooh, and a big swing there, 0-1.
And Castellanos has a really nice inside-out swing in most of his at-bats. Since he's been in the big leagues, he has tried to inside-out everything, and he has flown out quite often to right field and center field.
Ball outside, 1 ball and 1 strike. Got a new catcher as well that is checked into the ball game, Miguel Gonzalez. So both Jim Leland and Robin Ventura going into the bench here in the late stages of this one. It's 12-3. Eighteen Detroit hits in this contest. The Chicago ERA will take a hit tonight. Ball low. Tigers have had a 4-run inning and a 5-run inning. Castellanos is 3 for 12 so far in his major league career. Foul tip that one into the glove. 2 balls, 2 strikes on the Tigers' top prospect, getting an opportunity here in the month of September. Martinez, the man he replaced, had a homer and a single and 2 RBIs. Dirks has had a big game. He's on deck. Pulled foul down the third base line. Tigers broke it open early with 7 of their 12 runs in the first 3 innings tonight. They led 7-1 in the early goings of this one. There's a drive in the air to right field, shallow though, and Garcia coming in. 1 out. He's going to bring up Andy Dirks, who, like Torrey Hunter, is in search of a 4-hit game tonight. Andy has 3 singles. And he has scored twice. Percy missing low, 1 ball, no strikes. Percy has been on since the 5th. They've also had Troncoso tonight. And there's more action in their bullpen. Daniel Webb tuning up.
He's got a great arm. We saw him in Chicago. He has pitched so well, Daniel Webb. He might find himself pitching out their bullpen next year.
Oh, he's hit by the pitch. Andy Dirks will reach base, but the hard way this time. It's the second day in a row a Tiger has been hit. Iglesias yesterday. Dirks seems okay. Elbow.
Yep.
And that's going to be it for Percy. So he will head to the dugout and then eventually the clubhouse. Here comes Webb. We'll be back. As they try and shave their magic number down to 3. Runners in scoring position. Tigers have had 18 at bats tonight with men in scoring position. 5 for 9 with 2 outs. Max Scherzer getting ready to win his 20th game of the season. Torrey Hunter has reached base in all 5 plate appearances tonight. And so the Tigers, if you add it up, have a nice comfy lead here in the 7th. And here's the new pitcher now. It's Daniel Webb.
Daniel Webb's got a good arm. His fastball will go from 96 to 99 miles an hour. Also a heavy dose of sliders about 32% of the time. He does have a changeup, but does not throw the changeup all that often.
He was acquired last year from the Blue Jay system for Jason Frazier. So he'll go to work here now with Infante stepping in. 2 men on for the Tigers, 1 out. Got a double and a hit batter in this inning for Detroit. Omar looks at a strike called. Triple and a single tonight for Infante. The average up to 317. Drilled to left field. De Aza runs it down to the gap. Another hard hit ball for Infante. 2 gone, and now Alex Avila stands in. One out of 4 tonight for Avila. RBI single. Swing and a miss, 0-1. "46 RBIs now for Avila, who singled one in back in the third when the Tigers scored 4 runs and really kind of broke it open early. Tigers trailed only once in this game. That was in the first inning when Sox got a run in the first, but that's the only lead they've had. "0-2 on Avila. He'll stay alive, fouling it straight back. 96 that time from Webb. A ball and then Double-A and then Triple-A this year for Daniel Webb. He's been at every level of their minor league. 42 appearances, an ERA combined at all 3 stops of 1.87.
When you have a fastball that can get up to 99 miles an hour, you're going to have an opportunity to dominate most of the minor league hitters that you go up against.
Which is exactly what he did. 78 strikeouts in 62 innings.
He could have a lot of success in the big leagues too with an arm that big, but he can't pitch behind in counts very often. Not up in the big leagues. Guys up here can hit at 99 miles an hour when they know it's coming.
Now the 1-2. Bouncing in, 2 balls, 2 strikes. Alvarez just kind of watching the action down in the Detroit bullpen. Webb is a native of Paducah, Kentucky. He still resides in Paducah. Tried to hold up that time he went, and Avila strikes out to end the inning. No runs, a double, hit batter, 2 left. Let's go to the 8th. At a wet Comerica Park here. Mario and Pemba, Rod Allen back here at the ballpark. Glad you are with us here tonight. The Tigers, of course, Rod, have had a crowd here this evening that has been able to kind of stick out the rain. But tomorrow they are anticipating their 3 millionth fan. And so the staff is wearing the Thank You Fans T-shirts that they handed out before the game today. 3 million fans. That is quite an accomplishment.
Gave out a lot of swag today. Gave us some buttons as well. So they got it all covered. But there's no doubt about that. 3 million fans, awfully special. They've done it 4 times now in their history, and most of those have been done under Jim Leland, Dave Dombrowski. Of course, Mr. Ilitch is the best owner in all of sports, and a major reason why this team draws 3 million annually.
Well, when you look at tonight's ball game, we certainly have to talk about Max Scherzer, and it looks like now with a couple of innings to go, he's going to get that 20th win.
Well, he needed 6 innings today, and the one thing that Max did today, he didn't come out over-aggressive today against the White Sox. I think he had pressed the last few times trying to get number 20, although he only gave up 1 run his last time out there. But the one thing that he did do today, 11 flyouts for Max Scherzer, which is not usually the way that he pitches, but a very good night for him.
Don Kelly now taking over defensively at third base as both skippers continue to go deeper into their bench. Hernan Perez, meanwhile, will take over at second base, and Matt Tuiasosopo will stay in the game at first base. And we've got a new pitcher. That would be Jose Alvarez. 12-3 ball game. And Alvarez takes over.
5.29 ERA for Alvarez. 11 games, a 1-4 record, logging 34 innings. He's been the only one other than the main 5 that has gotten a start this year for the Tigers. Tigers have used the fewest starting pitchers in the majors.
Connor Gillespie leading it off here for Chicago. And Gillespie in this ball game, sac fly early, gave them a 1-0 lead in the first. Their only lead of the game here tonight. 2 balls and 1 strike. The Tigers, meanwhile, have pounded out 18 hits in this contest. The 2-1 is hammered to left field, slicing away from Dirks. He's got a long run to get there and won't do it. It'll bounce up against the wall in the corner. It's extra bases. Gillespie coming to third. And he is in there sliding with a triple. Don't normally see triples go into that left field corner. But Gillespie has one. And it's going to be the 7th hit of the game now for Chicago.
Andy Dirks had to run a long way. That's a little cut fastball that's sliding away from Gillespie, and Dirks had to run a long way. That ball bounced on the warning track and then bounced up against the wall. Dirks couldn't corral it right away, and Gillespie hustles over to third base.
There's a ball driven in the air to left. This time Dirks spins on the warning track to make the catch.
That kid, Marcus Semien, he's got some pop in his bat. He's an infielder, middle infielder that's getting some play at third base these days, but he's got some bat speed.
First time we saw him in that last trip to Chicago, he hit a couple of balls really hard.
I believe he's going to get a start at shortstop tomorrow. Alexi Ramirez will not start for the White Sox.
Got a pinch hitter now for Adam Dunn. Keppinger will stand in. And he looks at a strike, 0-1. .244 this year for the veteran Jeff Keppinger. He'll drive one down the left field line. Fair ball. Going to go to the corner and take a wide turn. Into second base with a double.
Alvarez needs to concentrate on getting the ball down. He has not gotten the ball down to any of the 3 hitters that he has seen in this inning so far.
Triple sac fly and a double greeting Alvarez here in the 8th. Well, they're going to peel back the tarp again as Luke Peconin picks up a baseball. Garcia 3-run homer earlier tonight against Max Scherzer. His only hit of the night, 1 for 3, and maybe scratch that. That one's going to find a gap and go all the way to the wall.
Another ball up in the zone that's absolutely clobbered, thrown by Alvarez.
He's trying for 3, and he is in there standing up. Another triple. 2 3-baggers in this inning for the White Sox, and now a couple of extra base hits tonight for Avisail Garcia.
Two-run home run for Garcia, the former Tiger, earlier in the game, and he gets another ball at the top of the zone. It's off speed at 78, and Austin Jackson couldn't help out Alvarez in center field. He couldn't run it down.
So 9 hits now for Chicago. They get 2 back. It's 12-5. Now Jordan Danks. First runs of the game for Chicago since getting 2 in the 4th inning. Swing and a miss by Danks. Another wave and a miss. He missed that one by quite a bit. 0-2. Well, it appears McConan has some company now. Drew Smiley warming up. Here's the 0-2. Stayed away again, but this time Danks would not chase. 1-2. Fly ball, strikeout, ground out tonight for Jordan Danks. Swing and a miss, and down he goes. Alvarez has his first strikeout. 2 gone. Here's Gordon Beckham. Ball 1 to Beckham. On base 3 times tonight for Chicago. A walk, a single, and a double. High fly ball left field. Dirk's backing up. Edge of the warning track, onto the track to retire the side. They get a couple of runs back. We go to the bottom of the 8th. At a wet Comerica Park, and tomorrow the Tigers play the Chicago White Sox at 7:08. The first 10,000 fans 18 and older receive a free 2013 Detroit Tigers team photo. Call 866-66-TIGER or log on to tigers.com.
They don't take very long to turn those photos around. They just took that today.
There they are.
They had to wait for Max Scherzer. Max Scherzer pitching today, and I'm not sure whether he knew that it was a photo or not, but When I got to the clubhouse today, everybody was in their positions, and then Max was in the clubhouse putting his uni on, and he gave him a nice clap when he finally made it to the photo.
Also had to wait for the rain to stop enough for him to get everybody out there and snap that shot.
Couldn't have a photo without Max Scherzer in it. 20-game winner this year.
Here's Ramon Santiago to lead it off. He'll be followed by the top of the order, Jackson. There's a ground ball out to the grass. Beckham throws high and yanked him off the bag.
Don't know how they're going to rule that particular play, but Gordon Beckham has made quite a few errors from that second base position. 11 total. If he fields it cleanly and makes a good throw, they get the out.
Second error of the ball game for Chicago, E4.
And Santiago is the batter on both of those errors tonight.
Here's Jackson. Ball one. Two out of 5 tonight for Austin. Hits in each of his first 2 at bats, a double and a single, and 2 runs scored.
Last couple of innings, I noticed a conscious effort, whether it be Troncoso, Percy, or now Webb. Very aggressive inside with their fastballs.
Three balls, no strikes. Webb took over in the 7th with 2 men on, 1 man out, and got the final 2 outs. Ooh. Swing and a miss on 3-0.
Wow.
That surprise you?
Absolutely. Is the count 2-0 or was that 2-1?
Well, maybe that's why. We had 3-0. That's apparently why. It's 2-2. That's fouled away.
Because normally you would not see a team with a 7-run spread in the bottom half of the 8th inning and a guy swinging at a 3-0 pitch. Not unless you want to get somebody hurt.
Yeah, exactly. Grounded foul. 18 Detroit hits. They have scored 12 runs. A couple of big innings. A 4-run third, a 5-run 5th. Hunter on deck. He'll be going for a 5-hit game. Busted him inside, and the count now goes to 3-2. Santiago reaching on the air by second baseman Gordon Beckham. Kona now just watching the action for the most part. 3-2 pitch. Pulled on the ground at third. Could be 2, 5, 4, 3. A double play. 2 gone. Well, apparently it's been raining so much in Cleveland that they've called the game, and so the Indians officially win that game in 7 innings. 2-1 is the final score.
And Tigers just need to continue to handle their business the remainder of the way, and the magic number will take care of itself. It's at 4 now with a chance to go to 3 after this game tonight.
Swing and a miss by Torrey as he goes for a 5-hit game. He's been on base 5 times, got 4 hits and a walk. Bouncing ball foul right at Tom Brookins. He picked it with the bare hands. And the 0-2. Torrey has not had a 5-hit game this year. Dirks and Infante have the only 2 5-hit games, and Hunter swings and strikes out. Inning over as we go to the 9th. Chicago White Sox, 12 runs on 18 hits for the Tigers, 5 runs on 9 hits for Chicago. New pitcher is Luke Peconin here in the 9th inning. Here is Miguel Gonzalez to lead it off to get his first at bat of the game. Came on as a defensive replacement as Peconin looks for the final 3 outs of this one. There's the bouncing ball to second. 1 pitch, 1 out.
Here's our bell tire pitch by pitch. Max Scherzer started for the Tigers, and it looks like he's going to get win number 20 this evening against the Chicago White Sox. He only had 3 strikeouts in the game, which is rare for Max because he's usually a double-digit guy. But the one thing he did do a lot of today, he threw a lot of harmless fly balls, 11 of those to be exact. Just a really nice game pitched by Max Scherzer, and he was able to relax all night long because he had a huge lead most of the way.
Alejandro Diaz looks at a strike. Tigers have doubled up the hit totals in this game, 18-9. It was raining really from the first inning through the entire game tonight. It's never stopped. It just hadn't gotten heavy enough to really cause us trouble, fortunately. 1 ball, 1 strike.
There was some talk really early on this afternoon that tonight's game could possibly be washed out, and the Tigers would have to play a doubleheader tomorrow.
The 1-1. As we have learned, though, early in the afternoon, it's real difficult to predict what it's going to be like at 7 and beyond. Weather always changes, and unfortunately tonight it never really got too heavy, and they played through it, and the Tigers bats didn't mind with the 18 hits.
Luke Peconin getting a really nice look. in the month of September. Fastball 94 to 97. Slider has some good tilt to it on occasion, but he's got a really nice forkball. There it was right there. And he's starting to throw that pitch with a lot more confidence these days. You can see the grip in his glove.
Here's the 2-2. Bounce again, 3 balls and 2 strikes. Alexi Ramirez waiting on deck. 3-2 the count. He went around. Strike 3. I don't know why Diaz is going to first base. 2 outs. Hey, by the way, as soon as the game ends, our coverage continues with Tigers Live here from manager Jim Leland. The players break down the game, show you all the highlights. Tigers Live immediately after the game from the Call Sam Studios on Fox Sports Detroit. 1 more out to get, and the Tigers' magic number will be shaved to 3. Strike 1 on Alexi Ramirez. $39,643 the official attendance tonight, and not one of them is dry at this point. They have been able to endure some wet weather tonight to watch Max Scherzer win his 20th. Here's the 1-1. Bender and a beauty, a strike. Buckled him. Do it for Max. Indeed. Here's the 1-2. Luke McConan trying to put the finishing touches on this one here in the 9th. Ground ball to second, should do it. Infante, and the Tigers win, and Max gets his 20th.
Memorable night here on September 20th, 2013. For the Tigers and Max Scherzer, and the magic number goes down to 3.
The magic number is down by 1. 3 more to go for the Tigers to win the Central Division title for the 3rd consecutive year. Max gets number 20, and the Tigers win 12-5.